Let's close by asking our great reporters to share a nugget or two from their notebooks, get you out ahead of the big political news just around the corner. Jonathan Martin.
John, as the campaign moves south this week to South Carolina, which is a military-heavy state, both active duty and veterans, don't be surprised if you hear a new line of attack against Donald Trump, and that is raising the question of his draft status during the Vietnam War. Mr. Trump got both student and medical deferments, an issue that for most of this campaign has not been talked about very much because there's been tons of other stuff to talk about when it comes to Trump. But don't be surprised if at least one of the campaigns or super PACs raises that issue in the next couple of days.
Watch that one as we go forward. Maggie?
Hillary Clinton is under fire about the transcripts for her paid speeches that she did when she left the State Department before she became a candidate. This was an issue that was very foreseeable by her campaign, so much so that some aides did foresee it. There was a big push by some people working with her early on to do a big, thorough personal vulnerability study. This is not something she has ever really wanted. It is not something they did, and they are now, just like the emails, finding themselves flying blind, handling a pretty foreseeable issue. So we'll see how that plays out.
It's going to be with us for a long time, I suspect. Jeff?
All the talk about a southern firewall for Hillary Clinton is over because of Bernie Sanders' unusual and strong fundraising strength. This has taken Brooklyn by surprise, how much he's been able to raise online without doing really much himself. So the idea that South Carolina was going to be her firewall is over. And some Republicans may be looking for gas in the tank. Bernie Sanders is going to have more gas in the tank than her, and it is a huge surprise for Clinton. So how they are fundraising going forward is a challenge for her because every time she steps into a Wall Street type fundraiser, he's going to hit her on that. So they are actively looking for ways to fundraise without her there, but they can't do it. It's one of the big surprises and worries and shocks for the Clinton campaign that they need her out there fundraising. So this is going to go on for a very long time. The March calendar, at least the beginning of it, is very friendly to Bernie Sanders.
Even Saturday Night Live making fun of the $27 average donation. Bernie
Right.
mentions it in every speech, sometimes more than once. Molly?
Well, talking about Bernie Sanders and his strategy, I had an interesting conversation with his strategists about the 3 constituencies that they see as key to his strategy going forward, and this was borne out in the entrance polls in Iowa. Young voters, obviously, the 18 to 29-year-old vote, he won a staggering 84% of that. We knew the kids liked Bernie, but not that much necessarily. He also increased the turnout of young voters. It was unusually high. Same thing with independents. They were an unusually large share, 20% of Iowa caucus goers, and they went overwhelmingly for Bernie. And then voters making under $50,000 a year, Bernie won those voters, and that helps to cut against the sort of wine track, beer track narrative that was emerging between Bernie and Hillary. If he can carry that forward into New Hampshire, it's obviously a state with a lot of independent voters. If he can goose that youth turnout, he expects to also carry it forward in the primary, and then even in the general election, he thinks that these constituencies are his main strength.
Go on for a little bit. We'll watch this one. I'll close with a look at one of my favorite New Hampshire primary traditions. That's late campaigning by surrogates who, yes, are here in New Hampshire to help one of the candidates, but who also, you might say, taking a little peek perhaps into the future. The Republican Governor Charlie Baker of Massachusetts was here yesterday campaigning for Chris Christie, and New Jersey Senator Cory Booker, well, he's part of Hillary Clinton's campaign's closing team here. Now, both insist they're here for one reason and one reason only, to help their friend. But both are also ambitious men and possible players in campaigns here down the road, or maybe in vice presidential chatter. Watching the next generation light up as they scan the big final weekend New Hampshire crowds is always fun.